A lot of people were telling me this week, oh, you gotta check out this clip of Rose McGowan going crazy on this trans activist at Barnes & Noble on her book tour this week. So I did. And you guys were right, you didn't oversell the crazy because, frankly, I think it'd be impossible to oversell the crazy contained in this clip. But when I sat down to write about this spectacle, I felt a little conflicted. Rose puts on a roast-worthy display, for sure, but there's a small part of me that feels a little guilty for indulging in the roast. What are we actually watching here? Is this the last stop on a long ride on the crazy train of self-directed degeneracy? Or is this a sad display from someone who lacks mental fortitude after years of genuine abuse? Should I laugh or should I sympathize? Rose herself makes it hard to decide. On the one hand, she claims to have been raped by Harvey Weinstein 20 years ago, a very serious and damaging allegation, if true. But on the other hand, she claims to be the victim of visual rape on the Hollywood red carpet too. Her public concern about the latter predated the former. And I can't help but notice that neither concern seemed to be much of a big deal until her major movie and TV roles started to decline. Whatever explains the crazy, and however sympathetic we should be to it or not, there's no denying the crazy itself that flows abundantly from this woman. Just try to make sense of her appearance on Stephen Colbert's show last week. Well, I think I'd still board a bus that's on fire driven by a blindfolded madman before I'd board one driven by Rose India has more colorful attire, so it's better than the West McGowan.
Here's the strangest thing.
What?
There's nothing about what you just said.
That's wrong.
That's wrong.
And but they'll make me seem crazy for saying it.
Maybe, but is there anything she said that's right? There's right, there's wrong, and then there's just pure gibberish. McGowan is or was touring Barnes & Noble stores across the country, promoting her new book, Brave, a memoir in which she details her allegations against Weinstein, among other aspects of her life, bravely released as soon as the phone for acting jobs stopped ringing. Funny how she just suddenly found such courage after looking the other way on the abuse of others for so many years. Last Wednesday's stop was at the Barnes & Noble at Manhattan's Union Square, and during her presentation, Rose was interrupted by a trans activist who accused her of not being considerate of intersectional concerns.
Trans women are dying, and you said that we, as trans women, are not like regular women. We get raped more often. We go to domestic violence more often. A trans woman was killed here a few blocks. I have been followed home.
So have I. We're the same. My point was we are the same.
Well, you're not the same, actually. One of you is a biological woman, the other is a biological man. And you would think that a case of a man being disrespectful, arguably verbally abusive, to an allegedly victimized woman would be an easy case for feminists to take sides on. But we're about to explore the complicated answer to that apparently complicated question. What takes precedent, biology or intersectional feelings?
There's an entire show called ID Channel, a network dedicated 24 hours a day to women getting abused, murdered, sexualized, and violated. And you are too, sister.
And trans women go to domestic violence, and you do nothing for them. Trans women are in men's prisons, and what have you done for them?
What have you done for women?
Men are in men's prisons, and by the way, those guys are locked up due to convictions for crimes. If social injustice number one is criminals don't have access to their preferred cellmates or their preferred bathrooms, I say close enough. Job well done, society. We've reached near utopia status.
I've done lots of things too. You don't know my life. Don't sit down. Sit down. Sit down. Enough. Get lost.
I am a woman, and trans women.
Congratulations. So am I.
This is genocide. This is the AIDS crisis all over again, and this is white cis feminism.
Shut up. You're so boring.
Yeah, sorry, we can't have this feminist book reading spoiled by boring people. We've got exciting, patriarchy-smashing pages to turn. But maybe I'm being too dismissive. I haven't read Rose's book. But if it's exciting enough to make a crazy pink-haired man yelling about AIDS and genocide look boring, maybe I should give it a look.
Do not put your label on me. I don't come from your planet. Leave me alone. I do not subscribe to your rules. I do not subscribe to your language. You do not put labels on me or anybody. Step the fuck back. What I do is for the fucking world, and you should be fucking grateful. So shut the fuck up.
Well, geez, this is escalating quickly. Just be glad she doesn't have that gun leg anymore.
Not worried, I'm fucking mad for lies.
Well, you were white and you're not quite yet purple, but your rage is getting you there. Be careful, calm down, breathe, or you'll end up looking like Grimace in a prison jumpsuit.
Get off my back!
Well, hey, don't be mad at me. I'm one of the select few who has never been on your back.
My name is Rose McGowan, and I'm obviously fucking brave.
Well, obviously, I'd never argue otherwise. I mean, my God, you had the courage to stand up to this fearsome creature.
We don't fight because we want to. We fight because we have to. While trans people are fighting for their bodies and lives, cis people are fighting for their opinion.
Well, if you're saying I shouldn't have the right to my own opinion, then yeah, I guess we do have to fight, so put 'em up, buddy boy. Now, the aftermath of this event has been every bit as entertaining as the spectacle itself. It's the cannibalization that naturally results in this intersectional Game of Thrones, where only the most oppressed can rise to power. Rose canceled the rest of her book tour, chastising Barnes & Noble and even the audience for their inaction, and she further alleges that her heckler was a paid actor. Meanwhile, the heckler himself has been accused of sexually assaulting several women when they were children, but the lengths of Me Too are really being stretched here because the trans activist responded, accusing his alleged then underage victims of abusing him. I'm not sure how that reasoning is supposed to work, but it's probably that meddling heteronormative cis patriarchy at play again. All the while, Rose is being predictably criticized as transphobic by all your typical rags of the outrage machine. Rose McGowan's anti-trans bias weakens her feminism. Rose McGowan broke down in a transphobic rage. Rose McGowan's transphobic rant flies in the face of Me Too values. Apparently so. As far as I can tell, Me Too has descended into a confused witch hunt, where being an actual sexual predator and just a person with the wrong opinions are equally important injustices to correct. The values of the Me Too movement are, at least as I observe, incoherent. So I want to have some sympathy for Rose, because beyond the fact that she may legitimately be a victim of Hollywood degeneracy and predation, I'm sympathetic by default to anyone whose platform is hijacked by some activist with a righteousness complex. Unless, of course, you have encouraged that very type of activism, encouraged that very type of outrage, encouraged that very type of incoherence, and failed to make these crucial distinctions yourself. If Rose McGowan is a victim here, she is a victim of a culture she is touring the country to cultivate, and that is where my sympathy for her evaporates. The standards against which you hold others will be held against you, and that is why foresight and consistency and fairness are crucial when dealing with your opposition. If you're telling everyone else that it's time to shut up and listen, don't be surprised or offended when they tell you the exact same thing. Thanks as always for listening and for supporting this channel. Always appreciate that thoughtful discussion down below, and especially over on Twitter. That is at ML Christiansen. You're always welcome to coming out and chat in my live streams. Those are linked down in the description. Looking forward to it.